Today's paper slide video is going to cover evolution through natural selection. We're going to take a look at how do species change and evolve, and take a look at the process of natural selection in that realm. So the first thing here is that evolution is just the means by which a species changes their genes expressed within a population. So that means that if we have a bird that could have a thick beak or a thin beak, the bird with the thick beak would survive in times when there were droughts, okay? When the food available was more hardy, okay, was harder to get into. They could crack the nuts and the seeds, and those with the thinner beaks could not. So what would happen is within the population of these birds, those with the thicker beaks would survive, and that is a change in the species within that population, which is evolution. Through natural selection is those organisms within a population who are best fit for the environment and will survive. So again, that is natural selection, the ability of a species to survive within its environment. So those with the thicker beaks were better adapted to survive within that environment. Species can also have adaptations. Adaptations are just mutations that happen. We've talked mutations before. Mutations that can happen within the genes. So a change in the DNA sequence, which leads to a change in the protein sequence, which leads to a change in expressing of genes. And it just allows them to survive better. An adaptation is something that allows them to survive better. Mutations can be positive, negative, or neutral, and the positive ones are considered adaptations. Whenever we use the term fitness in here, we're talking the ability of a creature within a population to be able to survive and reproduce. So, organisms with a higher fitness can survive. They do not end up being eaten by predators or dying of starvation because they have the ability to go ahead and find their food. Okay, they have a better ability to find their food and get their food, eat their food, and get away from predators. So because of that, these creatures will survive within the population, are considered to have a higher fitness. So let's take a look at something that has happened in the past. So grass is green. Grasshoppers have two different alleles, two different genes for coloration, one being yellow and one being green. And if you take a look, and I throw a couple of green and yellow papers out here on here, you'll notice that the yellow appear to stand out a lot more than the green do. So what ends up happening within this population would be that the birds who eat the grasshoppers would see the yellow grasshoppers a lot easier. So they would go in and they would swoop in and they would take out the yellow grasshoppers and eat them. A few green ones every now and then might get eaten, but you would see and eat the yellow ones a lot more. So when it comes time to reproduce, if every single one of these were able to produce another baby of them, we would have 6 more greens added to this population. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we would only have 3 more yellows added to the population. Okay, so if we add all of these in, you'll notice what's happening is there's a larger number of green grasshoppers now and less yellow ones. And again, the same thing's going to continue to happen. The birds are going to swoop in to eat. They're going to try to eat the ones that are easier to find. So they find the yellow ones, those are easier. And through reproduction, we get more green grasshoppers and very few yellow ones added to the population because of the reproduction. So, taking a look at this species had equal numbers of green and yellow grasshoppers. And when the birds swooped in to eat, they picked off all the yellow grasshoppers eventually. And now all there are green grasshoppers. So in using evolution through natural selection, this species has evolved because the change in the population of the genes, we now have more green genes within the population than yellow. So we've had that change within the population. Those who were best fit for the population were able to survive. The green grasshoppers were best fit through the adaptation of the green gene for their coloration. And so the green grasshoppers had a higher fitness, a higher ability to survive, and the yellow grasshoppers had a lower fitness, a lower ability to survive within their population and be able to continue to reproduce. So this is evolution through natural selection.